My Lords, I'm very disappointed that a bill that purports to protect the supply of new affordable homes fails to consider the texture of protecting certain types of homes, particularly adapted homes. We're an ageing nation. We're getting fatter. And nowadays, many more premature babies survive into adulthood with life-limiting conditions. And as a council leader, I spend about £1.5 million a year adapting homes for this ageing and impaired population. I remember when devising our local plan, there was a need for 3,500 adapted homes and supported living units in the whole plan. It was about 10% of the total housing need. It's an important issue, but not one you'd gather from this bill. Because at second reading I explained how councils might install an adaptation so that a resident with an impairment can live comfortably. I explained it might be a grab rail or a ramp. In one case, in my own council, we spent £75,000 on a complete extension that was required to enable that family to live decently. Now, in preparation for this debate and in pursuance of that simple truth, I sat down with Kevin Philcox, the officer responsible for housing standards at South Norfolk Council. And he tells me that about half the improvements relate to wet rooms. And that's important because poor personal hygiene is a leading cause of infection and hospital admission amongst the elderly. Keeping yourself clean down there isn't just about dignity. It keeps our hospital wards clean. And half the wet room adaptations are also combined with wider doors so that somebody in a wheelchair can shower hygienically. And together, cleaning and better access represent half the improvements for disabled facilities grants and aids and adaptations. Now, other examples might be a kitchen with low-level worktops, again, suitable for wheelchair use. And typically it takes between 6 and 9 months to deliver an adaptation, directionally 2 to 3 months for the assessment and the report by the occupational therapist, then a couple of months for the specification, contracting, and then the construction itself. Now, in my experience, in our district council, we delivered about 150 such projects a year at an average cost of about £10,000 each. Now, one of my best interventions, I would say, as a councillor, was to ensure that a widow who lived in Mill Road, Seething, was able to keep herself clean by expediting the process of creating a wet room in her social home. Now, I feel that I've laboured the point, but I tell this story with pride because the simple truth is we just don't have enough of these adapted homes, and that's why the state invests in them. MHCLG distributes yearly funding over £720 million to local authorities, and some councils like my own and other RSLs top up that allocation still further. I ensured that we reinvested all the profits from our trading activities to top up that money. So in total it adds to about £1 billion a year. It's a large chunk of change, ensuring people of all abilities can have a home they can get into and on with, maintaining personal pride and hygiene. So here's the problem my amendment seeks to remedy. When, as so often happens, the tenant passes away and the home is re-advertised, no credit can be given for those expensive and hard-won adaptations when a new family moves in. So a new tenant can ask for them to be removed. And they do. It's crazy. It's a waste of money. It reduces the pool of adapted homes. It's bad for everybody, especially the taxpayer who funds the work twice, once to put it in and another to take it out. And I recall one example where we built a brand new, accessible home, built with wide doors and low kitchen units, perfect for a wheelchair-bound resident. Now, as it happened, the first tenant was really tall. And by, he tired of bending down to move the pots and pans around the hob. And so the council was obliged by law to rip out that kitchen and put in a normal one. Dear, oh dear, that's absurd. It should have been let to a wheelchair user in the first place. So I asked the Minister directly, where are the provisions in this bill to protect the supply and investments in adapted homes for the ageing population? And why can't we offer rights of first refusal to those who need to help them keep themselves clean down there? I've heard it said, well, this is an allocations issue, and we're not going there in this limited bill. Now, I profoundly disagree with that. And this is why I asked for this debate to be degrouped, so it could have the importance it deserves without being clouded by other issues. Because my amendment is about protecting the adapted stock. It's about protecting a £1 billion investment, a significant sum that shouldn't be lightly discarded. It's about dignity for the most vulnerable in society. So I don't see this as an allocations issue in the sense that preference should be given to an individual veteran or a certain type of local person. This is about protecting the pool of adapted homes, not least because we're all getting older. It's about ensuring that the wider cohort who carry an impairment have a sufficient protected stock of them to have a go at, where they get preference, to make the best of their lives and to make their disabilities more bearable. And if the state can't recognise that, what's it for? And casually dismissing this as an allocations issue is willful direction. So we must grab this sufficiency issue now. We're at committee. I want to probe the matter more deeply between now and report. Unless we make some progress, I anticipate this is an issue upon which I will seek to divide the House at report on the grounds that this bill aims to protect the social stock for those in need. And my amendment seeks to achieve precisely that. I've nearly said enough, but I want to give Kevin Philcox, my expert on the ground, who's been around a long time in this space, the final word. He told me that amongst the dedicated housing standards professionals, protecting the adapted stock in the way I propose is both the Shangri-La and the Holy Grail of social housing policy in this country. It's on number one on the wish list. Now that's quite a statement. So the opportunity to protect that £1 billion a year investment and look after some of the most vulnerable people in our society is before us, here and now, and if we fail to take it, there's no one else to do it in our place. As it is, there are no powers to protect these adaptations or to give those people in need first refusal, and there should be. I beg to move.